Let me ask you a question that has been the center of debate since the beginning of life. What if death isn't the end? From the moment we're born, we're taught that life follows a linear path. We live, we grow old, and eventually we die. But what if everything we've believed about the finality of life is merely an illusion? A groundbreaking scientist has uncovered a truth so profound it challenges the very foundation of our understanding of life and death: the theory of biocentrism. Think about it. We experience the world through our senses, interpreting everything around us through the lens of our consciousness. But scientists haven't yet unraveled the true nature of human consciousness, because it's really challenging to study it using traditional scientific methods. So if no one knows how consciousness truly works, then it's up to other scientists to theorize about it. And that's more or less how the theory of biocentrism came to be. It posits that consciousness transcends the physical, and that our perception of life and death is merely a construct. This idea began to take shape when Robert Lanza, a medical doctor and scientist, started questioning whether consciousness was truly limited to our physical form. If consciousness isn't confined to our physical bodies, then death, as we commonly understand it, might not exist in the way we believe. Lanza drew from principles of quantum physics, which have long baffled scientists with their strange and counterintuitive behavior. Quantum mechanics shows us that particles can exist in multiple states at once, and that reality only solidifies into one state when it's observed. In a fascinating experiment, scientists observed that particles could behave differently depending on choices made by an observer at a later time. This isn't just a quirky detail of quantum mechanics, it hints at something far deeper. If our decisions in the present can alter past events, it suggests that time, as we understand it, is not a one-way street. The flow of time and the energy of consciousness might be much more fluid than we ever imagined. This suggests that the observer, consciousness, plays a crucial role in shaping reality. If this is true, then our experience of death might just be one of many possible outcomes, dependent on our consciousness. So what if, upon death, our consciousness simply shifts to another state, another dimension, or another reality altogether? The implications of this are staggering. It means that our journey doesn't end with the physical cessation of the body, but continues in ways that our current understanding cannot yet grasp. Let's try to imagine this better with an exercise. Energy after death. Imagine for a moment that the very essence of who you are is actually a stream of energy. When the body ceases to function, this energy doesn't simply disappear. In fact, one of the fundamental principles of science tells us that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It only transforms. Biocentrism suggests that this energy may transfer from one realm to another, much like light refracting through a prism. But this leads us to yet another intriguing question. If consciousness is energy, where does it go when the body dies? Think of consciousness as a projector. It doesn't create the images but brings them into focus, displaying different outcomes based on the observer's decisions. This suggests that reality itself is shaped by consciousness, a concept that biocentrism explores deeply. Space and time, as rigid constructs that define our physical existence, are merely tools used by consciousness to make sense of the sensory experiences we encounter. This idea is mind-bending, but it's also liberating. Imagine waving your hand through the air. What remains if all matter is removed? Most would say nothing, but that's not entirely true. The same principle applies to time. Behind the bone casing of your skull, there is no direct perception of time. Everything you see, feel, and experience is a complex interplay of information within your mind. From this perspective, space and time aren't absolute realities, but rather the framework that consciousness uses to organize experiences. If time and space are constructs of consciousness, then what does that mean for death? Biocentrism suggests that if these constructs don't exist in the way we think, then neither does death. Even Albert Einstein, in reflecting on the passing of his friend Michel Besso, touched on this profound idea. He said, "Now he has departed this strange world a little ahead of me. That means nothing. People like us know that the distinction between past, present and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion." In this view, immortality isn't about an endless existence within time, but rather an existence outside of time altogether. This challenges us to rethink what it means to live and to die. What if adopting the perspective of biocentrism could change how we understand the universe and our place within it? The possibility of death. This perspective on death resonates with the ideas of several philosophers throughout history, particularly those who explored the nature of existence and consciousness. One such thinker is the German philosopher Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, who lived from 1646 to 1716. Leibniz was a proponent of metaphysical ideas that align with the principles of biocentrism. He introduced the concept of monads, which he described as simple, indivisible substances that make up the universe. According to Leibniz, these monads are centers of consciousness, and each one reflects the entire universe from its unique perspective. In this sense, every individual consciousness is an expression of the greater whole, and the death of a single monad does not equate to the destruction of the consciousness it embodies, but rather to a transformation within the vast network of existence. Leibniz's ideas can be seen as a precursor to the modern biocentrism theory, as both suggest that consciousness is not bound by the physical body or the material world. Instead, consciousness is a fundamental ongoing process that transcends the boundaries of life and death. This perspective encourages a view of death not as an end, but as a continuation, a shift in the state of being that aligns with the natural flow of the universe. In a similar vein, the French philosopher René Descartes, who lived from 1596 to 1650, also explored the relationship between mind and body. Descartes famously declared, "Cogito ergo sum," "I think, therefore I am," emphasizing the primacy of consciousness in defining existence. While Descartes' dualism separated the mind from the body, suggesting that the mind could exist independently of the physical form, biocentrism takes this idea further by proposing that consciousness itself shapes reality. In other words, our awareness and perceptions are not merely passive reflections of the external world, they are active participants in the creation of that world. By embracing the principles of biocentrism, we can begin to see death not as a finality, but as part of the larger, ongoing process of consciousness. This shift in perspective can be liberating, offering a sense of continuity and purpose beyond the confines of the physical body. It suggests that our consciousness is not extinguished by death, but rather moves on to explore new dimensions of existence. Continuing the exploration of biocentrism and the nature of death, we can look to various cultural and spiritual traditions that offer unique perspectives on life, consciousness, and what happens after death. These traditions, rooted in different parts of the world, often reflect beliefs that align with or expand upon the ideas proposed by biocentrism, suggesting that consciousness is not only central to existence, but also continues beyond the physical life. Hinduism and the cycle of rebirth. In Hinduism, a central belief is the concept of samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. This cycle is driven by karma, the law of cause and effect, where the actions of an individual in their current life influence their future lives. According to Hindu philosophy, the soul, or Atman, is eternal and moves from one body to another in this cycle of samsara. Death is not seen as an end, but as a transition, a step in the soul's journey toward moksha, the ultimate liberation from samsara. This perspective aligns with biocentrism's idea that death is not the final chapter, but a shift in the state of consciousness. In Hinduism, the soul's journey through different lives reflects the ongoing process of consciousness evolving and transforming. The goal is to achieve a state of enlightenment or unity with Brahman, the ultimate reality, which can be seen as parallel to Biocentrism's view that consciousness is the fundamental essence of the universe. That's not all there is to this theory, though. Let's delve a little deeper. To fully embrace biocentrism, one must go beyond complex physics and embrace its metaphysical implications. At its core, biocentrism presents a vision of the universe that is not a cold mechanical system but a living conscious entity. This contrasts sharply with the traditional view of the universe as a clockwork mechanism devoid of life or purpose. Instead, biocentrism transforms the perceived emptiness of outer space into a realm brimming with life and consciousness. In this paradigm, consciousness isn't just an attribute of living beings, it's the very fabric of reality itself, interconnected and transcendent of both space and time. By examining these traditions through the lens of biocentrism, we can see that the idea of consciousness continuing after death is not a new or isolated concept. Instead, it is a recurring theme in the spiritual beliefs of various cultures, suggesting that this perspective on death and consciousness is deeply rooted in the human experience. Biocentrism, by proposing that consciousness is fundamental to reality, provides a modern scientific framework that echoes these ancient beliefs. It invites us to reconsider our understanding of death, not as a finality but as part of the ongoing journey of consciousness. Isn't that comforting? This means we now have the possibility to explore the mysteries of life and death with an open mind and a deeper appreciation for the continuity of existence. Dr. Lancer's perspective offers a profound sense of unity, reducing the isolation and loneliness that many feel in a seemingly indifferent universe. If consciousness is the thread that weaves the universe together, then death is not the end of the story. While our physical bodies may cease to function, the consciousness that animates us endures, continuing its journey beyond the limits of time and space. And that's what leads us to another more complex concept, the idea of backward time travel. Ready to find out what this means? Beyond biocentrism. Well, it's simple after you understand what we explained earlier about consciousness. If time is merely a mental construct, then the constraints of linear time may not apply. This opens up the possibility that consciousness, free from the shackles of time, could navigate through different points in time just as easily as we move through space. Expanding on the idea that manipulating consciousness could open doors to new dimensions, let's consider the insights of philosophers who have explored the nature of reality and the role of consciousness. One such thinker is George Berkeley, an 18th century philosopher who proposed the idea of immaterialism, which suggests that the material world exists only as it is perceived by a conscious mind. According to Berkeley, to be is to be perceived, esse est percipi, meaning that without a perceiver the world as we know it would not exist. Berkeley's philosophy resonates with the concept that reality is shaped by consciousness. This also means that altering our state of consciousness could indeed give us access to different aspects of reality that are otherwise hidden from our everyday perception. This idea aligns with the notion that manipulating consciousness through meditation, dreams, or other means might enable us to tap into new dimensions of existence. For Berkeley, the external world is not an independent entity, but is constantly in flux, dependent on the mind that perceives it. This concept challenges the conventional view that the physical world exists independently of our awareness. This is where the potential for new dimensions comes into play. Just as the manipulation of consciousness can lead to altered states of mind, such as in lucid dreaming or deep meditation, it could also provide access to different layers of reality that are normally beyond our reach. The dimensions of consciousness. The idea that dreams might offer insights into these hidden dimensions is not new. Throughout history, many cultures have viewed dreams as windows into other realms, places where the boundaries between the physical and the metaphysical blur. In modern times, thinkers like Carl Jung have explored the significance of dreams, suggesting that they can reveal deeper truths about our unconscious mind, and by extension, about the nature of reality itself. Jung's concept of the collective unconscious, an underlying layer of shared experiences and archetypes that transcends individual consciousness, further supports the idea that there are aspects of reality that exist beyond our everyday awareness. If we can tap into this collective unconscious through dreams or other forms of altered consciousness, we might gain access to these hidden dimensions and the knowledge they contain. Berkeley's philosophy and Jung's exploration of the unconscious both point to the same conclusion, that consciousness is not just a passive observer of reality, but an active participant in its creation. By expanding and manipulating our consciousness, we can explore the deeper layers of reality that lie beyond our normal perception. In this sense, Lanza's book Beyond Biocentrism and the philosophy it draws upon invite us to be open to radically new ideas, to explore the possibilities that lie beyond our current understanding of reality. Just as the manipulation of consciousness might enable us to tap into new dimensions, so too might it allow us to transcend the limitations of our current existence, to move beyond the illusion of death and into a deeper understanding of life and the universe. It invites us to explore the unknown, to question the assumptions we hold about the nature of existence, and to be open to the possibility that there is far more to reality than meets the eye. As we continue to delve into these ideas, we may find that the true nature of reality is far more mysterious and wondrous than we ever imagined. But even more interesting is how Lanza managed to take this theory to another level by exploring the nature of dreams and death. What he discovered was so groundbreaking that it earned him the ire of the mainstream scientific community. Dreams Reimagined. Dr. Lanza's perspective on dreams challenges conventional notions that they are mere byproducts of random neural firings or the activation of stored memories. While traditional scientific theories might argue that dreams are just chaotic electrical discharges in the brain, Lanza posits that they hold far greater significance. Dreams, according to Lanza, transcend being mere neural activities. They weave together intricate narratives that can sometimes feel as vivid and tangible as waking life. This raises an intriguing question. How can such complex and detailed experiences arise from seemingly random processes? If dreams were merely the result of electrical discharges, how could they produce such rich tapestries of interactions, emotions, and scenarios that often include people, places, and events the dreamer has never consciously encountered? This perspective suggests that dreams might be tapping into something deeper, potentially accessing dimensions or realities that lie beyond our normal waking experience. Rather than being passive observers in our dreams, we might be actively participating in these alternate realities, where the boundaries between what we know as real and imagined blur. Lanza's view invites us to reconsider the nature of dreams, not as mere reflections of our subconscious minds, but as windows into other realms of existence. If we accept the idea that consciousness is fundamental and that reality is a process involving our active participation, then dreams could be a powerful manifestation of this process. They might serve as a bridge between different dimensions of consciousness, offering us glimpses of realities that are usually hidden from our everyday perception. By viewing dreams through the lens of biocentrism, we open up the possibility that they are not just random occurrences, but meaningful experiences that can offer insights into the nature of reality itself. This perspective encourages us to pay closer attention to our dreams, to explore the narratives they present, and to consider the possibility that they might be revealing something profound about the universe and our place within it. The other side of biocentrism. But alas, biocentrism's alternative views on death have also sparked intrigue and skepticism. Critics argue that biocentrism lacks empirical evidence and relies too heavily on theoretical speculation. They contend that it doesn't provide testable hypotheses or undergo rigorous scientific scrutiny in the same way that other theories in physics and biology do. While it's true that biocentrism is not as empirically grounded as more traditional scientific theories, it represents an attempt to bridge the gap between consciousness and the physical world, a challenge that has long puzzled scientists and philosophers alike. Biocentrism invites us to rethink the nature of reality by integrating consciousness into the equation, proposing that traditional materialist views might be missing a critical component. It challenges the reductionist view by suggesting that consciousness cannot be fully explained by physical processes alone. Instead, it posits that consciousness plays a central role in shaping reality. This is not entirely new. Other philosophical traditions, like idealism, have also proposed that mind or consciousness is primary. Biocentrism aligns with these views, encouraging a re-examination of the assumptions underlying materialism. It doesn't necessarily deny the importance of the brain, but suggests that our understanding of consciousness might require a more holistic approach that integrates it into the fabric of reality. From a biological standpoint, death marks the cessation of all vital processes, and there's no scientific evidence to support the continuation of consciousness afterward. So, how does biocentrism react to this fact? Lanza's work doesn't deny the biological aspects of death, but argues that these do not necessarily encompass the full story. It suggests that consciousness, which might not be confined to the physical brain, could persist in some form beyond death, perhaps in the shape of energy, dreams, or something far more mysterious. This is a hypothesis that aligns with various spiritual and metaphysical traditions around the world. The lack of current empirical evidence doesn't rule out the possibility that consciousness operates in ways that are not yet fully understood or detectable by current scientific methods. All in all, Lanza's theories suggest that what we perceive as the end may simply be a transition, a doorway to another dimension of existence where consciousness continues to play a central role. As we reflect on these ideas, we are reminded that the mysteries of life and death are far from settled, and perhaps the journey of discovery is only just beginning. Whether or not biocentrism holds the ultimate truth, it undoubtedly opens the door to profound questions and new ways of thinking about our place in the cosmos.